Survivor Series is officially behind us. It is officially in the past. And at least for me, this is around the time where I officially turn the page, flip the switch, and start to prepare for what is to come during WrestleMania season. In particular, this year, on the road to WrestleMania 33. I figure this is the right time to start analyzing what could be some potential matches, what could be some potential feuds, what could be some potential stories, who could be potential Hall of Fame nominees. This is the ideal time to start looking at that, because you can see in certain instances some of these matches are beginning to be set in stone and are going to happen at WrestleMania, probably most likely. You look at a match like Triple H and Seth Rollins. Why have Triple H come out and cost Seth Rollins the Universal Championship if you weren't going to follow up on it? So far, they have not followed up on it, which I still don't understand why. But they need to start doing that sometime soon. And you know that that's going to be a match at WrestleMania. If not, why did they do it in the first place? You look on SmackDown, and you look at a match like The Miz versus Daniel Bryan. And no, I don't want to see Daniel Bryan compete again. No, I don't want to see him back in the ring. And it's not that I don't trust The Miz. I don't trust Daniel Bryan. The guy is reckless in the ring, no matter what you say, no matter what you argue. He is reckless in the ring, and in some instances, he is his own worst enemy when it comes to some of the moves that he does. He's pretty much the reason why he's in the spot he is now. He's no longer wrestling, he is just the general manager of SmackDown. Non-wrestling role. But you look at the tension between Miz and Daniel Bryan, and you think about it, and you wonder, well, if they weren't going to actually have a match, then why do all of this? Well, that match is pretty much set in stone at WrestleMania as well. Or, if you wanted to do like a representative of Daniel Bryan, you can have Miz face Shane McMahon. So again, 2 potential matches, and it's still only November, that are most likely going to happen at WrestleMania 33. You look at some of the names that I can throw out there. You're obviously going to get a Brock match. You're going to get a Goldberg match because Goldberg is back. You're going to get some form of John Cena match. In fact, I'll bring up a third potential match for WrestleMania. John Cena versus AJ Styles, their third match, their big blow-off match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. That could, again, potentially be a WrestleMania 33 match. So again, it's November. In fact, the day I'm recording this is the day before Thanksgiving. And I've already named 3 matches that are more than likely going to be on the WrestleMania 33 card. But now it's time to talk about someone who I love seeing at WrestleMania, even though when you look at it now, there really is no point to him returning. There really is no point to him coming back. There really is no point to him competing. And that is, of course, The Undertaker. I look at a guy like The Undertaker, and I have mad respect for him. He is probably the guy that I respect most in the WWE, or in any form of wrestling in particular. The Undertaker is The Undertaker, and there's no matching him, there's no topping him, there's nothing that compares to him in terms of a character, in terms of a locker room leader, in terms of just Vince's greatest creation. There's nothing that tops The Undertaker. And for years, The Undertaker was defined by the undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Obviously, that streak no longer exists. So now I look at it and I ask, well, if the streak was to define him, now the streak's over. What the hell is the point? But who am I to tell a guy like The Undertaker, and who are any of you to tell a guy like The Undertaker that he can't do what he likes to do? That's just messed up. I have mad respect for The Undertaker. I really don't want to see him compete, but am I really going to be the guy that goes to him and says, no, you're not supposed to compete? No. because The Undertaker is still The Undertaker at the end of the day. He's still the hero that I looked at in 2004 when I started watching wrestling. He's still the guy. And that's what I love about The Undertaker, is that even today in 2016, he's still the guy. But now the question is, you look at the roster of today's WWE. You look at the roster of NXT. You look at some of the part-timers that I mentioned earlier and some of the other part-timers that you could potentially be getting at WrestleMania. You almost wonder, where's the WWE, going with The Undertaker? Because I look at WrestleMania 33. You know, you're doing this the second time you're doing WrestleMania in Orlando. You're doing it in a big stadium. You're having some big names. You need to have a big Undertaker match. And there are some options for who The Undertaker could face. I think that there's only one option that makes complete 100% sense. But let's start off with some of the other options that at least I came up with. If you guys want to comment your thoughts on my choices down below, if you want to add choices of your own, please go to the comments down below and do so. I would love to interact with all of you guys about this, because this is a really interesting debate. You look at WrestleMania 33 and you're wondering, where the hell do you go with The Undertaker? Well, the first option I had was actually The Miz. And I know some of you may be surprised that I said that. Some of you may be shocked that I said that. But you know what? I look at it this way. Miz has had a lot of chances. And he got one big chance at WrestleMania 27 to be in the WrestleMania main event, to main event over The Undertaker and Triple H. Now that is an accomplishment in itself. Unfortunately, you don't remember that match because you pretty much forget that a heel WWE champion walked into WrestleMania and walked out of WrestleMania with the championship because the match became all about John Cena and The Rock. Now, you look at what happened with Miz afterwards. He was on this long downward spiral. You had him undefeated at WrestleMania. You pretty much forgot that even existed by having him lose 3 consecutive WrestleManias in 3 consecutive different ways. Now, you get to a point where here's The Miz in this new Hollywood gimmick role with Maurice by his side, as the heater. Miz is doing probably the best work of his career. Probably outshining the work he did when he was Money in the Bank winner / WWE champion back in 2010 and the early portion of 2011. This is probably The Miz's best time as a character and as a performer, both in the ring and on the microphone. You look at a guy like The Miz, who has been excelling in every single category, who has been absolutely dominating, who has taken that Intercontinental Championship and has elevated it. Every time Miz is Intercontinental Champion, it gets featured. It gets put into matches that matter. He gets featured like he matters. So why not put him against the guy that matters the most at WrestleMania? Miz versus The Undertaker. Especially looking at The Miz today. He plays this cocky heel that he has for pretty much his entire career, except this year, he's playing it better than he ever has. So why not use that? Why not have one day Miz just come out during an Undertaker promo and be the cocky prick that he is? Be the cocky, arrogant heel that he is. To have him go out there and criticize The Undertaker, bash The Undertaker, insult The Undertaker, laugh at him losing his undefeated streak, laugh at him at his age, do something. Miz versus The Undertaker is a potential option for WrestleMania 33. It's not the most likely option, but it is an option that could still work. Another option I had was Randy Orton. Now, the only problem I have with this feud is you would have to incorporate the Wyatts in there. And unfortunately, you know what that means. They're going to lose another match to The Undertaker. Whether it's Bray or whether it is Randy Orton as a member of the Wyatt family. Another thing is you've pretty much seen this match before. You're talking about an Undertaker and a Randy Orton who 11 years ago were in much better shape, much better in-ring shape. They were much better in-ring performers, and you look at them 11 years later, and it's like they kind of took a step backwards, obviously, because Undertaker got older, Randy Orton got older. Randy Orton has pretty much become more of a part-timer, and that's a lot based on injuries, but you pretty much catch my drift. Same thing with The Undertaker. He pretty much comes back for these big events like Survivor Series, even though for some reason he didn't come back. I don't know why. Why do that promo on SmackDown if you weren't going to appear at Survivor Series? Whatever. But Randy Orton versus The Undertaker, even though it has happened before, we have seen it before, and even though you have to incorporate the Wyatts in there somehow, could potentially work for a good story. And it could potentially work for a passable match at WrestleMania. And if that's what you're going to get out of a 50-plus-year-old Undertaker and a Randy Orton that is past his prime, so be it. If you can get a passable match out of them, then that's fine. If you can get a good story out of them, that's even better. Why not try that? Unfortunately, you look at it as kind of a lose-lose situation, just like the first time The Undertaker faced Bray Wyatt. You look at it as, well, Bray has had a lot of crap thrown his way. Another loss is going to negatively affect him even more. You can look at it the other way and say, well, why would Bray beat The Undertaker? Why would Bray be given that honor? And plus, Undertaker had already lost the previous year, so why do it there? Well, in this case, same thing. You know, The Undertaker, other than the losing last year part, because that clearly didn't happen, you know, Bray, even though they got the big win at Survivor Series, he's not exactly in a great spot. He would be in a much better spot if the WWE had support. If the WWE had confidence, but they don't. But anyway, Randy Orton versus The Undertaker is another option. I look at a Goldberg versus The Undertaker as an option, even though I'm still convinced that the WWE is probably going to go the Goldberg-Brock Part 3 direction, which, again, for storytelling purposes, could work perfectly fine. So do that if you're not going to do this. But if you look at Goldberg versus The Undertaker, you obviously have to incorporate the WCW part of it. You can have the angle be most dominant superstar in WWE history versus the most dominant superstar in WCW history. You can kind of do it like that. You know, the story could potentially work, even though it is 2016 and WCW closed 15 years ago. But there's still an element to be added. That is still an element to be added, excuse me. That's still an element that could work. And you also look at the money this could potentially draw, or the money this could potentially make. Undertaker versus Goldberg has never happened before. So you kind of think about it, why not put these two different styles together and see what could work? Now again, we're talking about an Undertaker and a Goldberg that are way past their prime, but if you could get a solid story out of this and a passable match out of it, then why the hell not? However, that brings me to my final option. No matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone thinks, no matter what anyone tries to debate, there's only one feasible option, and I've been saying this for years. One option for The Undertaker to face at WrestleMania John Cena. Just John Cena. Because that has big money written all over it, dead smack in the face. John Cena versus The Undertaker, while it has happened before, that is a match that if you do it at WrestleMania, you are guaranteed to have a WrestleMania main event without even having to build any other match. This match is easily the WrestleMania main event. The most popular... Well, let me rephrase that. The golden boy of the WWE over the past decade plus versus the WWE's main guy, The Undertaker. It could set up for an incredible story. Now, obviously, the story would work so much better if the streak was on the line. But this still has big money written all over it, and again I emphasize, big money written dead smack in their faces. I still don't understand why, after all these years of trying to get this match, we're still waiting, and unfortunately, the streak's over, so now there's really no point to it. Well, there is one point to it. Undertaker could retire to the top guy. He could beat the top guy, or he can lose to the top guy. The storytelling is there. And if you can get a passable match out of them, again, why not go for it? This is a dream WrestleMania match. And we should have gotten it at least 5 other times in the past. And now is the time to do it. Because you look ahead, you don't really know how many Undertaker matches you're going to get at a WrestleMania. You don't really know how many John Cena matches you're going to get at a WrestleMania. Because remember, John Cena is not exactly the youngest guy on the roster. This is the time to strike. Because if you don't do it now, it's never going to happen. It's now or never for the WWE. You need a WrestleMania 33 main event. And I emphasize again, you need a WrestleMania 33 main event because I guarantee you that any match that they put on that damn show is not going to be worthy of a mid-card slot, let alone the WrestleMania main event. John Cena versus The Undertaker is a dream match. It is the WrestleMania main event that everyone would want, that everyone would need. This is it. No questions, no exceptions, no doubts. John Cena versus The Undertaker happens at WrestleMania 33. And if it doesn't, the WWE once again screwed the pooch, and the WWE once again screwed up big time.